guys, welcome back to day 2 of Mod Madness, and today we're going to install the Ford Performance tow hook into this bumper support over here, and we're also going to install the ARP Performance chin splitter into the original fascia. It should be a pretty fun day, so if you've been following along, we've already removed the fascia. Now we're ready to remove this bumper support. To remove this bumper support, we're going to have to put a jack under this intercooler because the intercooler is currently attached to it. So the jack will kind of hold it up and in place so it doesn't just rely on these connections and the silicone hoses. And we will remove the bumper support and drill into it for the tow hook. So that's going to be the next step. So guys, as you can see, all I've done is I've lowered the lift a little bit, and then I used the floor jack to hold up the intercooler with a block of wood. I didn't put any pressure on it. The idea is just so the intercooler doesn't fall down when we disconnect it from its supports. And we want it to kind of stay where it is for an easier reinstall later. So job 1 is to remove these 13 mil bolts right here. You want to do the same on this side. So because I have the Pro Charger installed, my setup's a little different to yours. I actually have a nut on the back here. One thing I always recommend doing for non-standard setups is just put everything back together. And the reason I mention that is during this install, we are amassing quite a lot of little parts. So putting things together will definitely help. Missed a little thing. There is a temperature sensor down here that I missed. I should have probably paid more attention to the instructions. All right guys, now this bad boy's disconnected and we're ready to add the tow hook to it. So guys, the next step is to find the middle of this thing, and I'm gonna go from these edges, and we're doing the bottom of it. You can tell it's the bottom because those square holes there, those are the top. And obviously this is the front side. So I've measured out that this setup is about 39.5 inches. So we're gonna wanna mark the middle of that. So guys, we're talking about roughly 19 3/4 inches. So that'll be about right there. That should be the middle. So next we're gonna extend this line. So this is what the tow hook will ultimately sit like. We need to now find the middle of it and kind of line it up in the back here. You know what I mean? So we're gonna measure that and line that up and then make our markings. Just between the 7/8 mark and the 2-inch mark. So somewhere around. So guys, now we've essentially lined up the markings. So guys, I made the first hole, and I made a little bit of a mess of the surface, so I ground it down with a flap wheel. So this steel is very hard, and I've been trying to go like real slow. So guys, I finished drilling by far the most annoying part of the whole install. This is just very, very hard steel. And the holes are, pretty good. They're not perfectly centered. Just I should have used a center punch. But again, I don't think I could even do anything with a center punch to the steel. I think it would just bounce off. I think I just needed some carbide bits instead of cobalt, and it probably would have been better. But anyway, so I used some Ford touch-up paint. I'm not like trying to do a good job or anything. I just don't want the stuff rusting. Touched it up a little down there where the bit went through and in the bottom. And you should do the same for, purposes of rust, although I already see rust right here around these. So now the goal is to plop this on and figure out where the middle hole is gonna be, mark it off and drill that as well. See guys, everything's beautiful. The holes are big enough to where everything will line up. That's why they tell you to use the 7/16. So guys, lucky for me, I own a ton of different paint pens, and we're just gonna mark the head of this bolt. Keep that nice and tight. That's gotta be like roughly where the hole is. Oh yeah, it made a nice mark. So sadly, you gotta drill again. And I believe there's actually still 2 layers to drill through once again. So I'm gonna drill that through and show you guys what it looked like. You already know the process, I'm not gonna show you the whole thing. So guys, whenever you're done drilling this hole, you're gonna wanna mount the tow hook just like this. You're gonna grab a 17 mil wrench, and you're gonna grab a torque wrench, and you're gonna set it to 35 foot-pounds. So it's 35. So guys, I'm thinking the best thing to do is to bring this down and thread the outside bolt on each side to kind of hang it. We'll thread in the intercooler, and once that's in place, we can drop the jack and kind of call it a day. We'll thread one in. This has got to go up. So remember, we have this little guy for the air sensor. We're going to want to reconnect them when we're done. For now, let's go ahead and bolt this thing back up. One thing I recommend is you will see the marks on the paint line from where you started. Just when you're done, like, line them up. Make it fit exactly like it was from the factory. So don't tighten things down until you got it all threaded. Find the right spots here. That's about right. So when you put this through, you want to make sure that in the back it's coming through the opening for the intercooler plate, assuming you have a Pro Charger. If you don't, obviously, totally disregard that part. Just go ahead and ram it through. So guys, once everything's in place, just tighten down to about 18 foot-pounds. So guys, I figured out this does work with the MMD lower grill. You have to trim it though. And I did it with some scissors and a box cutter for now, just to give it a rough shape, and it does kind of fit and clear. So guys, I went out and bought a Dremel today, a real one, not a Harbor Freight one, and I've been using it to smooth out some of these cuts I made. I actually used one of the plastic cutting wheels, this thing, to kind of shape them a little more, and now I'm just gonna smooth and even them out with a little sander. The plastic will start to melt a little bit, so just watch out for that. So I finally got everything cut just the right way so the tow hook fits and clears. I sanded the things a little better. I tried to make the texture of the plastic kind of match more. I have some like kind of stuff that makes plastics black that I use. Let me show you a closer cut. So guys, I think this tow hook came out looking pretty aggressive. You know, are my cuts perfect? No. Did I need to cut that very bottom bar? No, I got confused. I shouldn't have cut that. But it doesn't really matter. This is a track car. Ultimately, it's not about just the aggressive and cool look of the hook. It's got to be functional. For the next step, I'm going to remove that fascia again. So guys, what we've done here is we've clamped on the fascia to the new carbon fiber under tray that we're going to have. And we're going to drill a few holes to, you know, line this whole thing up. So guys, what I'm going to attempt to do now is to screw in the original under tray. And the reason is so that we can use some of the other mounting points kind of inside of there for added rigidity. So guys, I've got the original bolts that we worked on back in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna find a whole bunch of mounting points all along the tray and then also under the car into the frame. One thing I definitely wanna do is get this back bolt here that we did. I think that'll add a good amount of structural support. It goes through 3 different things. All right, there's that second bolt. All right, there we go. Well, I could tell you this is already a lot more rigid. So guys, one thing for sure is the drill will get super hot going through the carbon fiber. It's not like plastic, so don't burn yourself. Whatever that smoke is like, I don't know that it's good for you or bad for you. If you have a respirator, why not use it, right? It doesn't cost you a penny. Honestly, guys, it's so awesome to make a track car because you really just don't give a crap. I mean, you sort of do. It's still your baby, but like, very different experience than modding it daily, let's say. I'm never modding it daily again, guys. Not that there's anything wrong with modding it daily if that's what you want to do. I've done it. I've been there before. I think it's a stage that a lot of guys will go through. I don't know that it's a wrong stage. I used to pour money into daily drivers too. I think we just need to tie in the front now and then go line it up. We'll think I know where I want to crimp on some riv nuts to hold it to the frame. And I think we should drill little holes here through so we could use at least these 2 other frame mounting points. Man, check that out, guys. That just looks fantastic. Now we'll add those little rods, mount it to the frame, and man, I'm happy. I think I did a good job. So this seems to be roughly the maximum length, you know, still keeping a good amount of thread inside the tube. I think limits me to some options maybe like this. Maybe I'll kind of line them up and see if I can get a good look. I think that's pretty perfect, guys. So guys, I'm gonna use blue Permatex thread locker since these are not nylon nuts. I don't know why they're not nylon. That's really weird. I wonder if that's gonna be a problem later. So now I'm just kind of tightening this to get it roughly into place. I've seen pictures of what happens when you don't do this, and it is what they tell you in the manual. You will rip your front fender off, or your front bumper off. Not fender. I don't know why I said fender. And guys, you can really see this plasticity, like why I'm saying like that is why you don't just drive around without these things. They hold the spoiler up. So guys, in the back, you will want to take out this thing that goes kind of in front of the bumper support. To take it out, you just push and release tabs that go in here and kind of around. It's super easy. You'll figure it out. So as you guys can see, I did end up drilling through the bumper over here. Now we just reinstall this shield. So what do we figure? Let's measure it at that mark and call that 7 inches. We're almost an inch taller here. So that's about the 7-inch mark. So now basically you're going to want to use a 10 mil to tighten up these jam nuts. So guys, down here's a little 7 millimeter, which drives with a screw and a nylon nut. I'm just going to give it a nice snug down. So I think it's looking pretty cool, guys. There is quite a bit of angle of attack here. We might kind of scoop it down a little. We'll figure out what the best solution is. So guys, here is my riv nut tool, and here's a riv nut. This is an M8 riv nut. So we're going to thread that on. So the way this tool works is when it's completely spread and the riv nut is on, it's going to make the riv nut expand as I squeeze it. So I'm going to install this riv nut in this hole right here. It's part of the frame, and it's going to hold our splitter as part of the fascia into the frame. And it's an M8 riv nut, so it'll take the exact hex-headed bolt that comes with this kit. So just throw a washer on top and bolt it right in. So guys, I did a couple of measurements, and I have all my markings. We're gonna need to drill these out small. Now let's switch to the big bit and drill the other 2 big holes for the M8. Okay guys, so this should be ready to go back on the car, and we're gonna have 2 per side of chassis mounting points. So basically you're gonna match the holes up and start tightening everything down. So guys, I think this looks really cool. It's an aggressive look, but I think it's also going to be very functional. The splitter is probably too curled up. I'm going to do a little more research, but I believe it needs to be more like straight with the horizon. So I'll probably adjust that a little bit. But really guys, looking dead on, I think we did a really good job. So guys, if you're at this point and you're done modding your car, you just need to work backwards to get everything into place. The first thing you're going to want to do is come in here and put that bolt back in. Then you can put the wheel liner back in and the wheel back on. Do the other side and then lower the car slightly and bolt up the top of your front fascia. If you remember, we unbolted all those bolts. Then you can throw the radiator cover back on. It also holds your prop rod, and you'll be done. I, on the other hand, am going to start on all of this stuff. So Mod Madness continues. We're going to do some sway bars. We're going to do coilovers, camber plates, spacers, ARP bolts, basically the works. We'll install my gauge pod. Man, I got clutch spring. I got so much stuff left to put in here. So guys, I'm gonna get started on the rest of that work. You can go ahead and finish up if you're done. If you like this video, please give me a like or give me a comment to let me know what you thought. If you want to see the rest of the videos, including the rest of Mod Madness, parts 3 and 4, maybe 5, we'll see how far we go, you're gonna definitely want to subscribe to my channel.